You're listening to Crystal and Emily on Love Your Shelf, the best librarian podcast in the extensive and highly competitive field of librarian podcasts. Well, let's see, what is this?
Is this 3 or 4?
I think we're on 3. So this is
Okay.
episode 3. And I have a few books that I want to talk about and a couple of things I've been watching, but then I do want to kind of transition into, maybe some holiday stuff if you have any.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yes. You'll see.
Teasing. Okay. Not giving anything away. So I have been anxiously awaiting the arrival of a book. It just came in, so just cracked it open. But it's one of my favorite authors, Don DeLillo, and his new book is called The Silence. And it reminds me of, from what I've read about it and what I've read so far of it, of the book I talked about a few months ago by Jonathan Lethem called The Arrest.
Okay.
Where basically like everything technological just stops working in that book.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. And so in this book, apparently something like that is going to happen where like all of everything that's digital no longer works anymore.
Right. Because that is such a crazy scenario to imagine.
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, we are, it's I can't state it strongly enough how obsessed we are with all of those things, and with that's become such a huge part of our lives.
We're addicts. It's like it's taken away what we're addicted to.
And like people have been recently talking about that documentary, The Social Dilemma, and everybody's asking, well, have you watched it? Well, no, I'm not going to watch it because I know it.
Yes, I feel the same way.
And that's a thing too, is it's one of those things where like we can all, or most of us I think are pretty clear with ourselves, and we understand that we are addicted to it. It's not like something where you're just like, you can't admit it, or you're not aware of it, you're not you don't see it. We all see it.
Yes, exactly. And we all admit to it.
Yeah. Doesn't keep it from being an issue. So I don't know what to expect in this, except that it starts with the Einstein quote. That's when he said, "I do not know what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones."
Yep.
And so,
ooh,
get right.
Yep.
Exactly.
Settle in. Wow.
And it's a very short book, so some of his other books, he is one of those writers like Jonathan Lethem and like very few others that like David Mitchell is another one, where every book is so different from the others in terms of genre, approach, length even. One of his most famous book is called Underworld, and I don't know how many, 700 pages, something. It's enormous.
Woo. Right.
And this one is very, very short. And so, I don't know. We'll see. I will report back, please, after I've finished it, but very exciting.
Cool. And,
another book that has come out that's by one of my much admired authors is To Be a Man by Nicole Krauss.
Okay.
And she wrote The History of Loves, probably her most well-known one, and Great House. And they are both fantastic. She's a brilliant writer. And this is a book of short stories. I think it's 10 different stories. Yeah.
I love a book of short stories.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes you're just in the mood for that.
When I'm not. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when I'm having a hard time focusing, a short story is perfect.
Sure. Yeah. You can pick it up, get,
Yep.
finish something and go on about your day. And recently I talked about Cardiff by the Sea by Joyce Carol Oates, which is also sort of novellas as well. So yeah. And a lot of times they don't seem to be held in as high of esteem as the novel, which I think is silly.
Yeah, I was about to
Because it's
say.
long, it's better. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that just summed it up.
Yeah. And anyway, so they don't seem to sell as well as novels, but I definitely enjoy a good collection of short stories.
Yeah, cool.
And another one is by Jenny Offal, who I've talked about her book Weather a few weeks ago. And so her first book was called Last Things. And I'm reading that right now too. And it's about a young woman whose parents are splitting up, and she's sort of pulled between the two of them, which doesn't sound very exciting.
No.
Not like some of the others. But,
well, I don't mean it sounds boring, but it's just, yep, we know that scenario.
Yeah, that's something common enough. But she has such a unique voice as a writer, and she also writes things that are really short, or fairly short, and her writing is sort of clipped. I don't know if maybe that's the best word to describe it. She uses short sentences, and it's just sort of paced differently than a lot of other books. So yeah, so definitely I would check out her other books, which I mentioned Weather, and then I also talked about her book Department of Speculation. So
I remember that title. It was a good title.
And
can we keep the term clipped writing?
Clipped, yes. I think it's the best description.
Yes,
it's just short.
Yep.
Which I'm not. I'm not clipped. I just go on and drone on.
Yep, me too. And I think that's why I appreciate the clipped form of writing.
For sure. The last book that I'll talk about is Afterland by Lauren Bukes. And I can't remember if I mentioned it before, but I think I may have said that I was going to be reading it. But this one, there's so many of these right now that just really somehow seem to tie into what we're going through in some way. And so in this book, one reviewer described it as Children of Men meets the Handmaid's Tale.
Oh my goodness.
And Children of Men.
So it's super uplifting.
Yeah, exactly. Children of Men I really loved, like in terms of like cinema. It was really well made.
Yes. Remind me who's in that? I know I've seen it.
Clive Owen.
Yes.
And
okay.
Julianne Moore. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And so then that's sort of an apocalyptic vision of society. Well, in this book, most of the men are dead due to a pandemic called the manfall.
Ooh.
And that reminded me of, there's this graphic novel series. It was like a limited run of I think 10 issues by Brian K. Vaughan, called Y, The Last Man. Like the letter Y, so like the Y chromosome. And it was about this guy who was, the last dude. And then so, what he goes through. Yeah.
Sounds rough.
Don't you know? The last of anything would be
a
hard time.
Either way, you're sought after, and that sounds stressful.
Exactly. And sought after for, something that doesn't have anything to do with you as a human being, except, or you're not for yourself, personal, but just for your
yeah, exactly.
And anyway, so it's a good book. Definitely has a feminist take. It's also dark and suspenseful, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously touches on sci-fi, fantasy, apocalyptic stuff, which I tend to gravitate toward. I
Mm-hmm.
can't imagine why, but but anyway, it's good. So Afterland is the name of that one.
Cool.
So what have you got?
Nice. Well, I actually was thinking about it. I don't know. I don't feel like I had a ton of free time over the last week. As you know, I've been out of town briefly,
Mm-hmm.
and anyway, I can't remember if I mentioned the show on Netflix with David Letterman. My next guest needs no introduction.
I don't think you have talked about it on the podcast, but
Okay,
we've
I think
mentioned
I
it.
might have mentioned it to you,
Yeah.
and we all know that gets confusing sometimes. um, well, I watched, so he just came out with a new, I don't know if you'd call it season, new episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them is with Dave Chapelle. And I recommend, whether you know who Dave Chapelle is or familiar with him or not, I recommend watching this interview. He is just first of all, he's an amazing comedian and potentially my favorite comedian. I know that's a very bold statement to make, so that's why I put the question mark at the end. But he is such an intelligent and insightful person. I just He's just lovely to watch. And he lives in this, tiny town in Ohio, and everybody knows him, and they filmed it in his town, and apparently everyone helped sort of like, I don't know, build the set or get everything set up. They're just kind of out in a field.
Mm-hmm.
And he says to David Letterman, he's like, all of these people here tonight, they're not here for me. They know me. They see me every day. They're here to see you. And anyway, I really recommend, the Dave Chapelle episode.
I did. I finally watched that because I'd been
Ooh.
watching those and then came up on the episode with Kim Kardashian West, and
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
just stopped that one. And then,
Yeah, yeah.
but then I went back and watched the Dave Chappelle one as well as the Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, cool.
episode.
I haven't seen that one yet.
And yeah, Dave Chappelle is a really interesting character because I remember,
Yeah.
years ago when he just quit the Chappelle show
Mm-hmm.
and, just sort of
Just
out of nowhere, it really seemed,
disappeared.
yeah, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody could understand that. And it still, when he was talking about it, I was thinking about, in what ways is that like the response to him is that telling about our society? Like that
Right.
he didn't, he just quit a job, but
Right.
everybody acted like he had lost his mind.
Oh,
And
yeah. There were conspiracies. I
yeah,
mean,
and when if you or I move to a different job or quit one and go on
mm-hmm,
a, go traveling for a while, people aren't going to be
mm-hmm.
like, well, she's clearly gone off the deep end. And
Yeah, yeah. She got into some crazy stuff and left everyone she knows behind.
yeah, and I think it's because he was making so much money, he was so
Mm-hmm.
famous, and that's what people think. Like, if you achieve that pinnacle of success, how could you possibly give that up? And
Right.
so I think he really brings, he makes people think about that, and he's clearly
Mm-hmm.
thinking a lot about it, about, what's important. Like you said, he's not
Yes.
living in Hollywood, he's living in a small
Mm-hmm.
town because
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't want the trappings or whatever. And I don't think he's
Mm-hmm.
like a perfect person, obviously, but
No, I don't either.
he's
Oh, go ahead.
thoughtful and, you know,
Yes, thoughtful is I don't know. I think just such a um descriptive word for him. I've seen, some of his stand up where I feel like he's almost like thinking through a new idea on stage, and just I
mm-hmm.
don't know, just presents a new idea. And yeah, I do think he is a genius. he's a really
Yes.
talented person.
Yes. And some of his, I mean, the Chapelle Show and Key and Peele, I think are, I mean, Saturday Night Live is a great skit show, like, but
Yes.
it also can be not very great. And there's
Right.
reasons for that. You know, they might have a dud of a guest or, you know, whatever. And some of
Right.
the cast, you know, that since that changes so much. But
Mm-hmm.
Key and Peele and Chappelle's Show, like those, they were
Yes.
always on. Like they were just
Consistent.
on fire. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it as
Excellent.
well.
I'm really glad you watched it, by the way. Well, and then, so really, the other thing that I have to recommend is a holiday appropriate movie. Should we wait for the holiday segment for me to give that one away?
Yes. Let me, I
Okay.
want to mention a couple of things.
Absolutely. Go for it.
So I told you the other day, I rewatched I Heart Huckabees.
Yes.
Which is a favorite film. I haven't watched it in a long time, and I caught it on Hulu. And it wasn't, you know, I don't think it was a blockbuster or anything when it came out, but I was such a fan, and the cast is unreal. And it is so hilarious in sort of a dry, you know, kind of self-conscious way.
Yes.
That's, you know, they're not like, I mean, it's broad. Like the characters are pretty wacky, but they don't seem to realize that they are.
Yes, yes. And I think that movie just really does have such a perfect balance of wacky and dry. You know, it's hard. I feel like it's hard to pull that off. And that movie does it really well.
Yeah, and they're the characters who are so silly as the film goes on, they like, you get to see the more complex sides of them, and yeah. Anyway, it's a hilarious, great movie. If you haven't seen it, it's on Hulu, and just, you know, the way that I describe it to anybody who, if they haven't seen it, I just say that Lily Tomlin and Dustin Hoffman play existential detectives. And
that's all
you have to say.
Get in that mindset, existential detective mindset,
Right.
and you're ready.
But then I do have to mention, though, that a few years later, or at some point, it must have been a few years later that I became aware of it, but David O. Russell, the director, has kind of a bad reputation, and he got caught on camera just screaming at Lily Tomlin.
Oh no!
During that shoot, and there was all kinds of problems, you know. Anyway,
that's not good.
No, it really colored it for me for a while, so I think that's why I hadn't looked at it since then. But anyway, if you can overlook that, because Lily Tomlin is a national treasure.
She is.
How could you scream at her? But
I
anyway,
I know. I want to know, what was that scenario?
Yeah, I'm sure you can find the clips of it. Pretty disturbing. And speaking of disturbing, I'm watching The Undoing on HBO.
Oh, I've been wanting to start it, but how disturbing are we talking?
It's not, I don't know, it's very real feeling, and it's
really,
it's gonna be, I think this coming weekend is the final episode, and it's only 6 episodes long.
Okay.
And I, you know, having seen as many movies as we have, and, you know, read as many mysteries, you can usually see things coming.
Sure.
But, and this is based on a book as well. I have not read the book, but the show, at the end of each episode, you completely rethink who you think may be responsible for the shenanigans.
I love that.
And shenanigans is maybe, okay, it's murder. So shenanigans may be a light term for that. But
you crazy kids. That's what that makes me think of.
Right. So you're thinking about, you know, okay, this person looks like they're clearly guilty. And then that changes, and oh no, they couldn't possibly be that, and maybe it's somebody else.
Right.
And so we'll see.
Okay.
The final episode has not aired yet, and so again,
See how
that
it.
could that could be the make or break moment.
Absolutely. Okay. Yep. I'm interested to hear next week.
Yeah. And then finally, I went down a YouTube rabbit hole because I was reading something else, and I saw that there was a web show, I guess, or it was on Vice.
Okay.
It was it's on the Munchies channel of Vice, and
Of
they
course.
did, yeah, because last week I was obsessed with food shows, so this continued on
right
to this week, and there's little short shows, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes long, called Chef's Night Out. And it's the exact same format every time. It's a famous chef. Like one time it's Anthony Bourdain, and it's and sometimes they're not super famous, but accomplished chefs. They get their friends together, and then they go out, basically on the town, because chefs are notoriously, they go hard at work and then play hard too.
Yep.
So but then they they kind of not bar hop, but restaurant hop, I guess, to places that are open late at night, and they talk about what's their favorite things after hours and that kind of stuff.
How fun!
And there's a bunch of episodes. It's really good, but it's on YouTube.
Cool. That is fun.
Yeah. So I don't even know how many of them there are, but I have not reached the end of them yet. So.
Nice. Oh, that's a good sign.
Looking forward to it.
I have really quickly. This just made me think of you mentioning YouTube. This is not a show. It's really just a clip from Seth Meyers. Is it Late Night with Seth Meyers?
Yeah.
My sister showed me. If you need a good laugh, watch this video. Look up Seth Meyers, Maya Rudolph, basket of wigs. And it's just a segment. Already... Yeah. So, they were on SNL together. So they're friends. So, it's already just fun to watch them because they, have a relationship already. And he tells her, we have a new segment called Basket of Wigs, and that's O apostrophe, not of.
Of course.
Right. And so, he says she has to, pick a wig at random and then create a character on the spot with that wig. And it is very silly. I've been quoting it for a few days now.
I feel like maybe we should do that at the next staff meeting.
I know. I was kind of like, actually, that sounds pretty fun. I would enjoy that.
Yeah. If you've got a good group of people, then that could be a riot.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Just a fun game. Make it into a game somehow. Anyway, I just thought of that.
I'll be working on that. How to make that.
Okay.
So what about, I am super ready for the holidays.
Me too.
And so this is going to air after Thanksgiving, but this whole week and, for the next month is going to be full on holiday time. So what kind of things are you like revisiting stuff or just finding something new?
Well, I've been doing a little bit of the revisiting. As you know, last week I watched Home Alone's 1 and 2. And actually my mom actually reminded me of this movie, and it is appropriately Thanksgiving themed, which is not typical. And I'm wondering if you've seen it. It is called Pieces of April.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, I have.
Okay. Yeah, it is so good and takes place on Thanksgiving. It's starring Katie Holmes and Patricia Clark, and there are some other familiar faces in it, but they're sort of the two big ones. Katie Holmes is a young woman. She's sort of the black sheep of her family. She has a rebellious past, and she is hosting Thanksgiving for the first time in her little city apartment. So yeah, the story kind of goes back and forth between April and her boyfriend getting ready, trying to cook, and their, craziness ensues, of course. And then, on the other side, you have the family in the car, making the trip up to see her. It's really good. It's really good. It's I don't know. It's about redemption and acceptance, and it's just a really sweet movie. So, even if this comes out on Black Friday, you're probably still, reeling from Thanksgiving. So I really recommend it.
Yes. Yeah. I'll second that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're on a roll today.
Thanks.
Well, so, I said that I'd watched the Robert Downey Jr. episode of the Dave Letterman thing. And it reminded me of a movie. I haven't watched another one that I haven't seen in a long time that I'm going to try to find again, which is Home for the Holidays. And he plays like Robert Downey Jr. plays the brother. Jodie Foster directs it. It is hilarious.
I saw that. Like, I haven't seen the movie, but I saw it on a streaming service. I think I put it on my watch list wherever I saw it.
You should definitely watch that.
Great.
Yeah, that's a great one. And then every holiday season since this movie came out, I think it's 1988, my family watches Funny Farm. That kicks off the holidays, and that's Chevy Chase at his peak form, and it's not 100% a holiday movie, but at the end it's during Christmas, and so it's one of my favorite Chevy Chase movies.
Yes, that is one that I made note of somewhere as well. Yes.
Yeah. So, and if anybody hasn't seen that, it is basically Chevy Chase plays the sports writer who decides he's going to write, the all capital letter great American novel, even though he hasn't proven that he has the skill to do that.
Right.
And so he uproots his wife and from the city, and they move out to this seemingly idyllic small town in this beautiful rambling house. And it all just, the facade cracks.
Ooh. And I bet it's real goofy.
Yes, I was going to say that sounded kind of sinister. It's not sinister. It's
right.
Just very goofy.
Yeah, it depends on the actor. If it was Robert Downey Jr. or someone a little bit more capable of doing grim, I guess, it would be a completely different story, or it would sound like a completely different story. But you insert Chevy Chase into it, I see.
Yes, for sure. And there's so they move out to this house, and just to give you an example of the kind of humor, things haven't been working out, and they're kind of stressed out, and they don't have any, the furniture doesn't arrive, so they don't have anywhere to sleep. And so they're just in sleeping bags on the floor. They don't have any food, and I think he asks his wife, didn't we have an apple left over? Maybe. She's like, nope, no, sorry. They turn on the lights, and he hears the crunch of the apple in the dark,
That's great.
And so they kind of turn on each other, but
that's really funny.
Only in a hilarious way. So
right.
And then another funny, not usually thought of as a Christmas movie, but totally is the movie Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, also with Robert Downey Jr.
Yes, I've not seen Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. I don't think. Gosh. I'm trying to. I know. I've seen part of it. Yeah. I don't know why I wouldn't have finished it though, because I know it was really good. Continue. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Val Kilmer is in it. It's a noir kind of comedy, dark comedy play on a buddy detective type story.
Yeah.
But it's set at Christmas, and it is also hilarious. There's so many just outrageous things that happen. Great. I mean, the title tells you, it's going to be over the top.
I really
And
like that you bringing up movies that aren't obvious Christmas movies, by the way.
yeah,
I think there are a lot that go under the radar and you're like, wait a minute, this takes place at Christmas time.
right. Well,
So,
like everybody now has, it's so like I don't know. It seems like in the past couple of years, it's been really hip to talk about how Die Hard is the best Christmas movie.
yes, I've been seeing that everywhere. It's like people are arguing about it. And I'm just like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. If y'all want to say it's a Christmas movie, cool. Welcome to the club.
Right. Yeah. No, it is weird, but I think that there is like a whole genre that, you know, that are films that are not what you would consider. They're not about like the holiday. They're just set
Right.
at that time, usually as a sort of, you know, it's not a set piece, but because there's so many things involved with Christmas, and it's
Uh-huh.
kind of fraught
Mm-hmm.
with, you know, consumerism and family problems and
Yeah.
all, and it's so over the top in terms of like the decoration. And
Yes. Like
so,
anxieties are high. Yeah.
yeah. So, it makes sense to set movies in that, or,
Yes.
or
I think that's a
stories or
really
whatever.
good, yeah, that's a really good point. One that, uh, that I saw this on like a list. I was kind of like, man, what movies do I need to watch that I'm forgetting about this holiday season? And Batman Returns was on there, and I was like, okay, yeah, I guess it does take place at Christmas time. But that one felt like a little bit of a stretch to me.
Which one is that?
Michelle Pfeiffer plays
Oh,
Catwoman. Danny DeVito is
the Penguin.
Penguin. Yes, that movie is so weird, by the way.
It is. I was gonna say that's probably one of my least favorite
Yeah, I
Batman.
weirdly kind of like it, but not because it's good, if that makes, I mean, I like to kind of poke fun at things, and in
Well,
turn I like it, but
yeah,
it's crazy,
yeah.
kooky.
It
Yeah.
it is. It's very kooky, and I remember I saw it in the theater when it came out, and
Oh.
as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I was kind of befuddled at that age as well. Like
Yes. Oh.
really, like my family went to see it anyway. I don't
Yeah.
know. It is pretty dark.
Yeah. No, I
Like the
watched it for
Catwoman
the,
stuff is,
yeah. Oh, and that's a little bit inappropriate.
yeah.
Yeah, because the first time I saw it was as an adult, and even I was kind of like, this is kind of creepy.
Yeah, and just like you said, it's not bad. It's just I don't think it's the
It's
best Batman.
interesting. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So okay, so you're bringing this up. I mean, I think we have to ask the burning question: who's the best Batman?
Oh gosh. I I know. Okay.
I'm
If
putting
I'm
you on
being
the spot.
totally honest here, wait, what's his name? The guy in Batman Returns, Michael Keaton,
Michael
right?
Keaton. Yeah.
Yes. I always get him and Kevin Costner confused, and I don't know why. I kept
If
trying to
you were
say,
an '80s baby like me, you would not. But that's forgivable, I guess.
that's right. um, I I don't love Kevin Costner as Batman, so I can't think. I'm not
You
totally
mean
sure who
Michael
my.
Keaton?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Kevin Costner.
Oh my gosh,
I
that's
was gonna say
hilarious.
when. Where? Okay, so good. So
You
he's never
guys
gonna
might
be
not
that.
know. No, Michael Keaton. I'm not totally sure who my favorite is, but I know that it's not Michael Keaton, and I feel like there are people who have a very strong opinion about
I was gonna
him
say
being their favorite.
you might be attacked in the street for saying that.
I know, that's why I am stumbling over my words and kind of afraid.
I'm very hard to pin down about favorite of anything, but
Hmm.
Michael Keaton, very good Batman. Val
See,
Kilmer, also,
I
like I was
forgot about.
huge. Yeah, I was huge Val Kilmer fan back in the day, and Christian Bale is also, you know,
See, and yeah, because I think I didn't see any of the Michael Keaton Batmans until I was a senior in high school or a freshman in college when Oh goodness, what was the big one with Christian Bale and the Joker? Why am I blanking on that? It was such a big deal when it came out. Was it The Dark Knight?
Dark Knight, yeah.
Yes. I had seen that, and so I kind of feel like Christian Bale kind of set the tone of what a live action Batman is. So then, later on when I finally saw the Michael Keaton, him playing Batman, I don't know, it's just so different.
Yeah, well, and the tone of the film and those films comparatively is very different too. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so loaded question.
On that note,
I really like how that's what this turned into, by the way. Did not see that coming.
Well, I'll just have to do that to you at the end of every time that we speak. Like,
please,
make you rank.
Please do. Yeah.
Rank something that people like to fight about a lot.
Yes. I'm all about it.
Yeah. So if anybody out there wants to take us on, you can. You can actually send us voice messages through Anchor, which is where we publish this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that would be hilarious if we got some people to call in and set us straight.
I love that. Let's do it.
And on that note, I think we can wrap up for this week. And hopefully everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving or is in the process of having a wonderful Thanksgiving. And we will see you in December.
Woof.
I know.
That's great. That's nuts.
Yeah. No, actually, yeah, it will be.
Yeah. Oof. All I got to say about that.
Yeah. 2020 it's time for it to go. So I'm not concerned about the end of this year.
Same. It's just hard to believe.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Bye. Afraid you missed one of our scintillating selections? Check out wakelet.com and you'll find a collection of all of the titles that we have mentioned on our podcast.